I am on the road, so my daughter is going to be reading questions if need be. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just having a conversation with you here today. I'm going to wait a minute, folks, to see if anybody pops in. This was unscheduled. It's just something that's been on my heart that I need to speak about. So I'm just going to wait a minute here, and if I see there, I see somebody popping in. Please give me a thumbs up, and my daughter let me know at least that you guys can hear me. That would be great. Folks, the topic of conversation right now is U.S. war propaganda and censorship. In the last 2 weeks, our government, along with the media, have proven themselves to be the same, if not worse, as the Nazi Stasi or brown shirts. 2 weeks ago, when Russia came out and said, and by the way, Dr. Stephen Pigeon had made mention of this in my last video, look that up, that the United States had biological weapons labs, like 3 or 4 of them in the Ukraine. The U.S. government, along with the media and social media, went on a absolute shut it down, shut the narrative down campaign against free speech. Anybody who posted videos of any Russian officials, subtitles or what have you, they were making and showing, said, this is Russian propaganda, pay no attention, this isn't true, America doesn't have these weapons, blah, blah, blah. Last night on Tucker Carlson, he so much has proved that they're there, and I'm driving, so I can't remember the name of the woman offhand, but she just sat in a congressional hearing under oath and made very clear in a congressional meeting that to the U.S. Congress, that the United States has bioweapons facilities in the Ukraine, and those are the very spots that Russia took over. Now, she didn't say that they were producing, gain of function or this or that. She didn't specify, but what she did say was that we can't allow these facilities to get into the hands of the Russians because there's very dangerous stuff in them. Basically, that's what she said. All right, folks? Now, I find it very amazing that just months after the whole CV-19 scandal with the Wuhan Wiggle, and you guys know what I'm talking about, and where that came out of a lab that the U.S. government, along with the media, were trying to say that this was false to begin with. I immediately, even after Dr. Pigeon, he said he was sent numerous links of proof and things like this, and I just, the jury was out for me for a little bit. And then I saw the video with the Russian, not a diplomat, but I think it was their military, I forget what branch of their military it was. I read the subtitles, got verification that the subtitles are in fact real, and I'm going to be sharing those here, that video here, at a later date. But guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a documentary called Ukraine on Fire. All right. Now, this documentary that was put together by a very famous, director, author, it was basically deleted from every platform but a couple obscure movie platforms. And again, it's called Ukraine on Fire. All right. Now, apparently, I haven't seen this I have not seen this documentary yet, but from what I have heard from commentary is that it doesn't paint the picture of a madman, right? All we have been hearing, right? All we hear is Putin's a madman. The madman has to be stopped, right? And so this documentary, along with other, documentaries, videos that people have made, thinking critically about this whole situation in Russia, has absolutely been denounced, censored, and if you get caught promoting the idea that Russia has a right to defend their borders, as we should have a right to defend our borders, could you imagine if China or North Korea set up shop in Mexico and developed bioweapons labs? Could you imagine if they set up shop in Mexico and put armaments, missile capability in Mexico? Could you imagine what the U.S. government would do? Well, that's what the U.S. government, along with NATO, has done to Russia. That's what they're trying to do. Not only that, they shut off their, pipelines that they spent billions and billions and billions of dollars to bring natural gas and oil to Europe, which apparently doesn't have the capability to make much of their own. So I find the hypocrisy in this just mind-blowing, and the fact that everybody got shut down, and just like that in 24 hours, everybody that questioned the narrative, that said, hey, let's take a look at this, maybe Russia's got, maybe they're saying some truth, comes out to be true. And it was documented at the congressional meeting. And my guess is that gal that came out with that truth bomb right there, my guess is she may not have a job for very long, because I'm sure they didn't want that information getting out. But I want you to take a little walk with me. I'm 44 years old, guys, and I remember 9/11 very vividly. I remember if you're not with us, you're against us. Do not question why we're going into Afghanistan or Iraq. At the time 9/11 happened, everybody could justify going into Afghanistan and rounding up bin Laden and his cohorts who supposedly had committed 9/11, supposedly, and I say that. We know it's bigger than a couple little Middle Eastern men with box cutters. People, please. There are 3 or 4 Middle Eastern men with box cutters taking down planes, and we know it's bigger than that. We know that, okay? But the propaganda at the time, why we had to go into Iraq, was Saddam Hussein is a madman. Do you guys remember this? I remember the U.S. government and the media and other people saying that he had basically human grinders, and he was grinding humans up like hamburger. I remember it. I remember the talk about the ass. Now listen, I know that in the Middle East, there has been situations where people have had acid thrown in their face and stuff like that. So I'm not belittling those evil acts. But I remember the talk that Saddam Hussein had these acid baths that he was throwing women and children into, and he was basically boiling them to death. The hamburger grinders. I remember all this. I remember the WMDs, the weapons of mass destruction, right? Which were none. There was none. And to date, it's never been proven that there has been any. Guys, I just want to encourage you to have the wisdom of the Father, to hit Oliver Stone. There you go. Oliver Stone can be found. Read that right there. I'm driving, so I'm not going to read it all. I just saw Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone was the director of Ukraine on Fire. Follow what the gal just said, or guy just said. But guys, I encourage you to lean upon the wisdom of the Father. Lean upon the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. Guide you, keep you in all of His ways. to have discernment. The gift of discernment, in my opinion, is the most important gift that any of us can have in the days that we live in. The most important. If you don't have discernment to weed through the truth and the lies, you are going to be deceived at every level. And I don't know about you guys, but I want to stand against evil and criminality and corruption, no matter who it comes from, whether it is Russia, whether it's Iran, whether it's the US government, Canada, whoever it is, or our local agencies. And trust me, our local agencies are criminal. We can't stand in truth and we can't stand in righteousness and justice if we are walking like a bunch of dang fools believing this war propaganda. And much of it is, let's face it, it's the same Cold War propaganda that was vomited for years and years and years and years. Now listen, I'm not saying that there wasn't a legitimate threat during the Cold War. I mean, the Bay of Pigs was an example of it. They wanted to set shop up in Cuba, and we put the kibosh to that. Just like they're putting the kibosh to NATO setting up shop in their territory in the U.S. So guys, I really, if you are homeschooling parents, it is imperative, even if you're not, if your kids are in public school, it is imperative that you do a deep, long study on the art of propaganda. Because propaganda, guys, is the art of brainwashing. That is exactly what it is. It creates mass hysteria, this mass psychosis that everybody's talking about. And if we don't teach our children to see through it and see it for what it is, they're going to fall like a bunch of fools just like anybody else. And guys, what we do here today as adults, as parents and grandparents, will dictate our children's futures for the next 60 years and our grandchildren. And there's no doubt about that. What we're witnessing today and how we take action against this today will have an effect 60 years from now. We have to speak out against this. We have to speak out against these mindless idiots in DC. I can't believe we have like flipping first graders running our country right now. Kamala Harris, what a joke. I watched an interview with her when somebody asked her, give us some insight in the Russia, debacle, what's going on? And this is exactly what she said. Well, Russia is a big country and the Ukraine's a little country and Russia's the big aggressor and they went into the Ukraine and that's not okay. People, these are the morons that we have leading this nation. And this is why I keep coming back and I will keep saying, pray fervently, pray for discernment and wisdom, but opt out of this system as much as you can. We cannot, we cannot fight to save what we presently have. The republic is gone. We truly do have a democracy. We have mob rule right now. That's what we have, and we cannot fight to save that. We can't fight to save the Titanic when it's halfway down, in the ocean. It's going down. I suggest you get your small community lifeboats, you get off, and you fight to preserve your community, your family, and you start there. We make an effect on a micro level. We can't even make an effect on our capitals, really. We can call our governors, we can call our state representatives and say, hey, we don't want this, we don't want the other thing. But if you're a governor, most of the time, you got to that position, for various nefarious reasons as well, just like DC. But we can focus on our communities, our small communities, and opt out of this beast system as much as we can so that we're not held accountable come that great day. And I will make this very clear. I'm very bold in how I say this. If you check and you sign on the dotted line that you vote for this one or that one, listen, we're going to be held accountable for everything. That is you giving compliance, or you're okaying that individual in what they're doing. Now, I know you can nitpick and you can say, God's going to know that's not what I voted for. But everybody's going to have blood on their hands one day in various sizes, every one of us. And I'm at this point in my life, my husband, we're at this point. We don't want any part of it. I do not want innocent bloodshed on my hands. And we will do everything we can to stop that. But guys, I hope you take to heart what I'm saying here today. We need to be as wise as serpents and as gentle as a dove. And make no mistake, guys, that doesn't mean what you think it means. A serpent strikes when it has the opportune moment to strike. It stays hidden in the shadows and under the rocks quietly. And when it is directly threatened, you could walk right over snakes left and right. You can walk on the rocks. They will not come out and strike you. But if you poke that snake, if you go after that and become a threat to that snake, it will bite. And we need to be as wise as serpents. We only attack unless there is imminent threat against our children and our families and our homes. Right then and there. Doves, guys, you want to think that a dove is this the scared little birdie? Fact is a dove doesn't eat any meat. It's one of the most purest birds that there is. It only eats seeds and fruits and things like that. That's true. But have you ever seen what a dove will do to birds that go after their mate? They're vicious. I have witnessed groups of doves attacking crows and hawks. They're vicious. So while the dove sits back and looks meek, it looks mild, right? It's the bird of peace. They stand in peace. But when the threat comes to their own, when war comes to their step, they answer it. And that's where we need to be. We need to remove ourselves, watch from the outside looking in. And when the threat comes direct at us, that's when we make our move, not until. And we need to be prayerful about it. Guys, there's a lot of people being harmed. A lot of people got the CV. We had it. And there was some people that died from it. That thing was a direct attack. Make no mistake, that was an attack. And I had a friend that, Anna Marie, she was on here before. You guys can look. We had a conversation before. She called me. She says she's been having dreams about another plague type situation. And I told her, I said, well, Fauci and the rest of them already said that there would be another after another. That's what they've said. And now she's getting dreams about more plagues. That's what the enemy does. He's going to hit us. He's going to keep hitting, and he's going to hit until he wears down the saints. And that's the goal. That is the goal. But we have to be believers and children of endurance during these times. We have to be wise, wise. We have to be discerning, and we have to literally finagle through these times. So, guys, I'm gonna press this, Ruby, and you can read some of those for me. I can't read them. Start there. Is it too hard for you to see? If it's too hard for you to see, that's okay, honey. Whatever Roy is saying, guys, listen to him. He's a smart man. He takes in a lot of intel from a lot of directions, and he equally divides it. And so if he's saying something, please listen to him. So I'll go back and listen to these later and see if I can get see if I can get the comments, and I'll reply at a later date. But guys, I'm going live tonight with my husband. The topic tonight is, so your spouse, and it should be doesn't, somebody messaged me, doesn't support you in your prepping or your spiritual life, the fact that you have God within you. Out of any, at Sustainable Stewards, I teach farming, homesteading, self-sufficiency. That's my expertise. And the biggest emails I get from women and some men is that my spouse doesn't support me to prep. They say it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and I can't do the things I need to do that I know God is telling me to do. So my husband and I are going to be tackling this from the spiritual perspective as a husband and wife. And we're going to be talking about the male-female, the husband-wife role, and understanding the spirit and the voice of God within our spouses to heed and to honor and to respect our spouse, if they're doing things in a responsible manner. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, if that's an issue you guys have with lack of support for prepping and things like that from your spouse, boyfriend, even family members, guys, we're gonna be tackling that subject tonight. And my husband, he's such a good man, and he doesn't say anything until it's worth speaking. He's that kind of guy, and he's got some good insights on this. So if you're a guy and you want to hear another guy talk about this, please tune in, because this channel isn't just about me. I want to have voices for men as well on here. So, all right, guys, this is Stacy at the Battle Axe channel. I hope you enjoyed this. Excuse me. You guys all take care and be blessed.